Day of Menachem Av, and we are Be'ezra Hashem Baruch, finishing up the bottom of, or reviewing the bottom of Daf Tes Vav Amud Beis, and going on to Daf Tes Zayin Amud Aleph. We had left off with the Gemara telling us that Reb Meir and Rabbi Yossi are reading Rabbi Chanina Skan Kahanim differently because Reb Meir and Rabbi Yossi have a different understanding of Tumas Mashkim in general. The Gemara had told us that Reb Meir Latami da Amar Tumas Mashkin Latami Acherim Derabanan. Reb Meir believes that Tumas Mashkin, that liquids, while they can become Tamei, can only ever make other things Tamei on a level of Derabanan. And Rabbi Yossi holds that Tumas Mashkin Latami Acherim Deraisa, that they have the capacity to make things into to create Tuma on a level of Deraisa. Ditanya. And the Brisa had told us as follows, and this is at the top of Tes Zayin Amud Aleph. It says the Gemara as follows, according from the Brisa, Safek Mashkin. With regards to Safek Mashkin, what's a Safek Mashkin? So it's not a Safek liquid, it means a Safek with regards to a liquid. You're not sure, did it become Tamei, did it not? Li Tamei, with regards to it being Tamei, it becomes Tamei. Le Tamei Acherim, but to be metame other things, tahar divrei Reb Meir. Reb Meir holds that it is going to be tahar because it's a suffix. It's a suffix on the level of derabanan, meaning you have a din that the liquid can become tame. Good. Now is it going to be metame other people or other things, other foods? So it says Reb Meir, no, because of derabanan. V'chein hayir Reb Elazar, and this is the opinion of Reb Elazar, kid devarav. Just like Reb Meir has said, meaning this is also the opinion of Reb Elazar. We're going to challenge that statement in a couple of lines. Rabbi Yehuda tells us, no, lechol tamei, it is tamei for everything. It's tamei for everything. It is tamei for itself. It's tamei to other things. It's going to be tamei everything. Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon are of the opinion la'oichlin tamem lekelim taharim, that it will be metame oichlin, but it won't be metame. Won't be metame kelim. It's not going to be metame vessels. So foods will become tame as a result of coming in contact with this liquid, but not vessels. Okay, so now we have a few opinions. We have the opinion of Reb Meir. The opinion of Reb Meir says that it's metame and that it's tame and it cannot be metame anything else. And this is also the opinion of Reb Elazar. Then we had Rabbi Yehuda that said it's tame for everything, and Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon that said that it's tame for food, but not tame for kelim. Says the Gemara as follows: V'savar Reb Elazar mashkin leislo tuma ba'olam. Hold on a second. V'savar Reb Elazar holds mashkin islo tuma ba'olam, that liquids have tuma at all. Maybe Reb Elazar's opinion is even more lenient than that of Reb Meir. Reb Meir told us that the mashkin become tamei, but they can't be metame anything else. Says the Gemara, I think that Rabbi Elazar is of the opinion that the mashkin aren't tamei at all, that there's no such thing as tumas mashkin. Says the Gemara b'hatanya, because it was taught in the Brisa. So Rabbi Elazar tells us, ein tuma lamashkin kol ikar, that there is no tuma for liquids at all on a level of deraisa. Teda, you should know, shaharei he'id Yossi ben Yozer ish sreida, because Yossi ben Yozer ish sreida, he shows up in Pirkei Avos. He told us as follows. We were talking very, very early era of the Tanaim, or even before that. That's the Zugos that came before the Tanaim. Al El Kamsa, on a certain grasshopper that's called the El Kamsa, Dechan. It's a old dialect of people to say Dechan. It is correct, meaning you can eat it. It's kosher. Va'al mashkin beis metavchaya Dechan. And on the liquid that is in the slaughterhouse of the Beis Hamikdash, Dechan, that it is not able to be mekabel tuma, meaning it is completely tahar. It sounds like Rabbi Elazar is telling us that these liquids, the mashkin beis mitvachia, that this is entirely tahar. Says the Gemara like this, analyzing that statement of Yossi ben Yozer. Hanicha l'Shmuel, this makes good sense for Shmuel. Shmuel understanding this line, de Amar dechan, that when Yosef ben Yosef says dechan, it's good. It means minatame tumas acherim, to be mitame other things. Aval tumas atzman yesh lahem, but they do have the tuma in and of themselves. Shaper, that works. Meaning, when Yosef ben Yosef said that the mashkin basement mitvachia, that the liquids on the slaughterhouse, that those things are going to be totally tahar, what it means is, no, they can become tameh, but they're not going to make anything else tameh. Tumah stops there, which is exactly the opinion of Reb Meir in the Brisa, and Reb Elazar would be going along with that. Ela Rav, but according to Rav the Amar, that Rav says, based on the statement of Reb Elazar and Yosef ben Yosef, that what he's saying is that there is no tumah at all. There's no tumah there on a level of daraisa bichlal. What are you going to say? Amar Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak, says Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak achada. You have to splice this brisa. Meaning the brisa at the top of the Amud says Safek mashkin litame tame. Safek mashkin to be metame. They are tame. L'tamei acherim tahar, but to be metame other things they are tahar. Reb Meir, this is the opinion of Reb Meir. V'chein hay Reb Elazar aimer kidvarav, and Reb Elazar said like his words. Which words? Only half of his statement, meaning they can be metame other things. Reb Elazar also happens to be of the opinion that safek mashin l'tamei is tahar, that they'll never be tamei. There's no such thing. So Rav Nachman Yitzchak he only agrees with one of those statements. Says the Gemara, "V'ha kidvarav kamar," but the Brisa said that he agrees by kidvarav, that he says like his words. Dinafishi, that means more than one. There's two statements that he says. He has to agree with at least more than one, which is two, which means that the Brisa is telling us that Rav Elazar does agree with Reb Meir. So it cannot be that we're splicing it. V'oid, and furthermore, the language of the Brisa is v'chein ketani. He also taught like this. That sounds like it's a full, total, 100% agreement. Says kasha. Yeah, that's taka problem. That's taka problem, which means that Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak's mahalach is not going to be accurate. So before we try to reanalyze, says the Gemara as follows: Kufa. Let's look at the statement itself. Rav Amarav said dechan mamash, that it is entirely tahar, meaning the liquid at the bottom of the basically the slaughterhouse. Dechan mamash. Shmuel says dechan milatame tumas achirim, that it's good with regards to being metame other things, meaning it can be metame other things. Aval tumas atzman yeshlem, but they do have tumah in and of themselves. Rav Amar dechan mamash. Rav says that they are totally tar. Kasavar tumas mashkin derabanan. He holds the whole institution of tumas mashkin is only derabanan. V'chigos rabbanan, and when the rabbanan said that there is such a thing called mashkin that could become tameh, but mashkin de alma, that's talking about regular liquids. Mashkin base mitavchia lo gazer, but with the liquid at the bottom of the slaughterhouse of the Beis Hamikdash, they never made such a gzera, meaning it's all a rabbinic institution at all, and since it's a rabbinic institution altogether, so then the rabbanan can say that the liquids at the bottom of the slaughterhouse of the Beis Hamikdash, that doesn't get gzera min rabbanan. There are many areas of the Beis Hamikdash that did not have dinim dirabanan. That's the idea of a shvus b'mikdash. We don't have an institution of a shvus b'mikdash overwhelmingly. Chazal will not gozer gzeres in the Beis Hamikdash. Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel says that it's good with regards to being metame other things. It's going to render other things tahar, but it itself is tameh. Aval tumas atzman yesh lahem. They are going to have tumas atzman kasavar, because he holds tumas mashkin atzman de'araisa. He holds that the tumas mashkin, that the liquids can become tameh themselves on a level of de'araisa. The tameh acherim derabanan, but the whole institution of being tameh other things is derabanan. V'chigos derabanan b'mashkin de'alma. And when the rabbanan said that the liquids that are tameh can make other things tameh on a level of derabanan, b'mashkin mitvachia lo gazer. They didn't add the gezerah with regards to the liquids in the Beis Hamikdash. And when they didn't make the Gzeira, they said that the Gzeira is to be that they are not going to be in other things. But they still do retain that level of Deraisa where they can become Tamei themselves. That's the understanding, says the Gemara, of Rav and Shmuel. It's a fundamental disagreement whether or not there is such a thing called Tumas Mashkan on a level of Deraisa in general. Amalei Rav Huna bar Chinna Librei. Says Rav Huna, the son of Chinna, Librei to his son, sending his son on a mission. Ki alisa lekamider of Papa. When you go to the Beis Medrash, when you're going to be traveling, you're going to go speak to Rav Papa. Ramile, I want you to challenge this point, meaning point out this difficulty to him. Mi amar Shmuel dechan min atamim tumas acherim. Avot tumas asman yesh lahem. It's really true that Shmuel says that these liquids are able to become tamei themselves, but cannot be matame other things. Krikan, there's a pasuk here. What's the pasuk tell you? Pasuk says, "Va'abasa asher yiga b'chol tamei lo yechel." The meat that comes in contact with any tamei, with anything tamei lo yechel, cannot be eaten. That's the pasuk in Vayikra Perek Zayin pasuk Yutes. Says the Gemara, what's the limit from this? So habasa asher yiga b'chol tamei lo yechel, meat that touches anything tamei lo yechel. So what that means, practically speaking, is that if you have something that is tamei and meat of a korban were to come in contact with it, lo yechel, cannot be eaten. But if I have liquids that are tamei on a level of deraisa, so then how could you possibly hold that it's tamei on a level of deraisa, but it cannot be metamei something else? Because this is exactly what the pasuk says. Habasa sheyiga b'chol tamei, the meat that touches anything tamei. This is tamei. You've said to me that it's tamei. How could it not be metamei something else? Amar Rav Sheisha, says Rav Sheisha bereid Rav Idi, the son of Rav Idi. We don't know what happened, by the way, with the son of Rav Huna bar Chinna. He asked the question. We don't know what that answer was, or if he ended up asking the question, but the Gemara's answer. It says the Gemara, Amar Rav Sheisha bereid Rav Idi, says Rav Sheisha, the son of Rav Idi. Meaning to have a Revi b'Kodesh. No, this is the same as you have by Revi b'Kodesh. What's a Revi b'Kodesh? Meaning a Revi of Tumah b'Kodesh with regards to Karbanas. We know that there's something called Aviyavas Tumah. That's like a dead body. And then we have something called an Avatuma. That it would be like a sheretz. And then we have a Rishon Latuma, which is the kli, or the food that came in contact with the sheretz. And a Sheni Latuma, the thing that came in contact with that. And a Shlishi Latuma, the thing that came in contact with that. And Revi B'Tumah would be the thing that came in contact with that. Meaning, this is many, many levels down. This is the same thing as a Revi'i with regards to Kodesh. What does that mean? Revi'i B'Kodesh is Tameh, but nothing is going to be Tameh thereafter. You cannot make something tamei from a revi of tuma. So the same thing. So you have something called revi, and it's not going to make anything else tamei. So what's the problem? The pasuk says about basar shiga b'chol tamei lo yechal, means in general, but there are certain things that are tamei that are not going to render other things tamei. Says the Gemara, no, I'm asking Flora of Ashi. Rav Ashi attacked Rav Sheisha Berei Dravidi. He says, how could you say that? Revi b'Kodesh loy ikri tamei. When you are dealing with a revi, fourth level of Tumah, b'Kodesh with regards to a korban, loy ikri Tumah, it's not called tamei. We have another word for it, a word that we have encountered already. Ha ikri, ikri tamei. This isn't called tamei. What's it called? It's called posel. This ikri tamei is called tamei, meaning the Mishnah is calling it, the Brises are calling it tamei. Shmuel is calling it tamei. If it was simply something that was tamei but had no capacity, it would be called posel. It's not posel. It's tamei. Tamei means that it's tamei and it could be tamei other things. So that says the Gemara that language. That's a good point. Kasha. We have a problem with that. So that cannot be the solution. Tashma, Come along, let's hear a solution, perhaps. V'chol mashke asher yishte b'chol kli yitma. Says the pasuk as follows: any liquid asher yishte that you could drink, b'chol kli yitma, in any kli, yitma will be tame. What exactly is the meaning of this pasuk? This is Vayikra Perek Yud Aleph, pasuk Lamed Daled. Says the word my yitma. What exactly does the word yitma mean? So there are two possibilities here. Yitma could either mean that it becomes tame, or that it could make something able to be mekabel tuma. Because the halacha is that in order to make food tame, that fruit, for example, fruit can only become tame once it has come in contact with liquids. You pick an apple off the tree, that apple is still unable to become tame. It's not a davar hamekabel tuma until it comes in contact with liquids. Once it comes in contact with liquids, then it's hichshir lekabel tuma. Now it can be become a tuma. So let's read the pasuk. Says the pasuk as follows: B'chol mashke asher yishte b'chol kli itma. Any liquid that is drink can be drunk. B'chol kli yitma, in any kli yitma. Says the Gemara, my yitma. What does yitma mean? Hichshir could make something able to be mekabel tuma. That's what it means. So says the Gemara, let's analyze it. Hichshir mireisha dikra shematle. But the din of hichshir that you're trying to say that yitma here means that it's going to be able to be mekabel tuma. We know that from the beginning of the pasuk, mireisha dikra shematle. From the beginning of that pasuk, mikol ha'oichel asher yachel. From any food that will be eaten. That is the beginning of that pasuk. Hi, bitlushin. So it says the Gemara as follows. No. You need two separate dinim. That are going to be learned out differently from the pasuk. Just to review here, what's the argument? It says the Gemara Tashma. We have a proof of Shmuel saying that there is such a thing that you have liquids that are tame, but will not be metame other things. It says the pasuk b'chol mashke asher yishte b'chol kli yitma. Any liquids that can be drunk, b'chol kli, in any vessel, yitma will make things tame. What does yitma mean? Hirshe, that it's going to make it into it's going to make it into something that's mekabel tuma, but it's not going to be metame. It's not going to be metame. It's only going to make something able to be mekabel tuma. Says the Gemara, we already know that from the beginning of the pasuk. From all food that can be eaten, it can only be eaten once it has come in contact with liquids. So what does b'chol kli yitma mean? It must mean that is telling us that it's only going to be a machshir for tumah. It's not going to pass on tumah. Says the Gemara, no, you need both dinim in the pasuk. Chad b'tlushin v'chad b'mechubarim. Talosh means separated from the ground or from its source. Mechubar means plugged in, connected to its source. So that usually we talk about this with regards to like a branch or a tree. You see this to the halachas of sukkah. You have something that's talosh, something that is plucked out of the ground, and something that is connected to the ground. But now we're talking about liquids. How do you plug in liquids or disconnect liquids? Says the Gemara tzrichi, and you need it. The ashmini b'tzilushim. If I had only known with regards to liquids that had been taken out of the ground, mishum de achshavinu, because now the human being has made this into something chashiv. You have drawn water out of the well, and now this liquid, this water, is chashiv by you. You hold that it's chashiv, and therefore it can be a machshir l'tumah. Aval mechubarim, but liquids that's still connected to the ground, emalai. Maybe that's not chashiv enough to. If you have water that's still in the well and your apple falls into the well, maybe that's not going to be a machshir l'tumah. Maybe it's still going to be unable to be mekabel tumah, and therefore you need the pasuk to tell you both ha'ochel asher yachel and the which tells you the food that came in contact with mechubarim, and then liquids that were b'chol kli. Anything that's in a kli as well is going to be matami, because you need the din of tlushim and the din of mechubarim. So if you would only have heard tlush in the beginning of the pasuk, you would say that because that's important. At the end of the pasuk, you would say that that's important. But mechubarim, you would say not. V'it hana mechubarim, and if you would only have taught the beginning of the pasuk that tells me liquids that are still connected to the ground, mishum dekaime beduchtayot, because they are still in their rightful place, because they're in the well. That's chashivi. That's why they're chashiv. But once you take it, you put it into your sippy cup and you take it along. Now it's no longer considered liquid in the sense that it's going to be able to be mashur for tumah. With regards to liquids that you put in a cup, maybe that's not called chashiv anymore. And therefore you need both of these dinim, and therefore this pasuk doesn't help you with Shmuel at all. It says the Gemara Tashma, no. Come and hear the following din of the Brisa. Achmayin ubar mikveh mayim yetar. The halacha is that a bar in a mikveh mayim yetar will be tahar. That a spring and a pool of water, those will be tahar. What does that mean? My yetar. What does yetar mean in that pasuk? Me too, masai. It'll be metahar somebody else. It doesn't mean that the waters themselves are tar, and it doesn't mean that it's a machshir for tara, because that doesn't make any sense. It means yetar, that it is going to be metaher. It's going to be metaher, and that is the next 2 psukim later. The language of yetar, it's going to be tar mitu maso, from his tumah. Utzulushin mi tumasai, and therefore we are going to say, taking a look at Rashi here. 6 lines from the bottom of Rashi. Since they are collected, they are plugged in, they are not going to be metame. So what do we know? That the liquids themselves, so the kasha is the ashmin. Since they are connected, they are going to be tar. They're not going to be mekabel tum. And this is now a challenge for Rav. This is a challenge for Rav because it sounds like these liquids are not going to be able. That these liquids are tahar and they cannot become tameh. Yetar mituma. So says the Gemara. No, this is what it means. It means that if somebody wants to be metar themselves, they'd be able to be metar themselves in this liquid. And we will continue with the next challenge of the Gemara tomorrow. Everybody should have a wonderful day.